All right, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Great slate of games going on in the NBA. It is the NBA tip-off show powered by WagerTalk.com. We're going to hear from the contrarian gods. We're going to focus on a featured matchup. We are also going to focus on a total, maybe a couple of dogs, and of course, a few best bets along the way. And we'll do it on this final day of January. Wow, 2024 with our Thursday crew here as we welcome back in the one and only Skee Prophet in the house, as is RC Ronald Kabang and very famous and always profitable Mr. Rob Vino, ready to roll here. Never met an over he didn't like to play. So why don't we see if the contrarian gods have something up their sleeve here tonight? We're taking a look at, and well, they're going to focus on an interesting game here tonight, guys. Nobody wants to admit it, but quietly the Spurs have actually become a competent basketball team. 5.5 is what they are getting, and they are at home taking on. Oh, that team is ass. The Orlando Magic, Skee. I mean, come on, dude. This team is just what the hell happened? They can't win back-to-back games. They can't score. Nothing seems to be going well with them over the last month. And yet, I'm watching San Antonio, and quietly they're figuring some things out there with Pop and Webayama and all those young guys. Are you buying Orlando laying 5.5 on the road tonight?
Well, it's a tough call for me. I was trying to back Orlando here just because, like when I look at the last 5 game stats, the categories that I care about tell me they've been the better offense, they've been the better defense, even as poor as Orlando's been playing. When I look at all year long, they've only been a road favorite 4 times. They've covered 3 of them. And when I look at when they play these bottom feeder teams with less than a 45% win percentage, they're 10-2 against the spread. So those things make me want to back the Magic. But when I think about the Magic winning by any kind of a margin, or any team winning by any kind of a margin, I want them to be able to shoot the three well and defend the three well. And the Magic are the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. So that doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence. I hear what you're saying about the Spurs playing well lately. They've covered, I think, 11 out of 15. It is tough to lay against them, but I have more reasons to try to back Orlando. So because I'm, fading the contrarian play, of course it'll hit today.
Yeah, of course. I get it. I mean, listen, the Magic, RC, they've been going through it. They haven't won consecutive games since last month. It's the offense, I think, that's really been killing them. They're on a 3-8 straight up record. Just not enough consistency, right? They did, with Wagner out with some injuries, that was a bit of a stretch here. But, expecting them to go on the road with a rejuvenated young team. Hey, listen, you can win the game, but you're going to win by more than a couple of baskets here tonight, you think?
Yeah, I know that's kind of tough. I agree with a lot of things that Ski mentioned. One of the things, I mean, like you mentioned, right? Magic's still struggling offensively, but they're still one of the better defensive teams in the league. I know Spurs got Wemby, I don't know how it's like 7-4, 7-5, whatever he is, but for some reason they still struggle with rebounding, and the Magic are, that's one of their strengths. The Spurs also, they tend to turn the ball over at a pretty high rate. I mean, and you look at this Magic team, like I said, they're still one of the better defensive teams in the league. They're second in the league in turnovers forced per game, also average points off turnovers as well. So they could take advantage of that. For me, I think from a matchup perspective, I think this is just a sort of a tough matchup for the Spurs. What the Spurs do well offensively, the Magic, they really have a counter for them on the defensive side of the ball. Also, another thing to mention, Magic, the Spurs 2-17 straight up this season as home dogs. So they're not winning those games. I mean, they only got 2 wins out of them, but for the most part, they're actually giving up a lot of points. I know the Magic are struggling offensively, but Spurs as home dogs, they're giving up 125 points per game. So this could be one of those games where, the Magic pretty much need this type of game to get back on track offensively. So for me, I would lean towards the Magic in this one.
So that's 2 Magics there, Vino. So you understand where we got to roll here now. I will say this, though. I think Pop finally figured some things out here. He puts, I don't know what the hell took him so long, but he put Webayama at center, and he made Trey Jones, I believe, the point guard. and then you surround them with Sokan and Vassell and shit. And all of a sudden, these guys are playing some defense, and they seem to really be coming together. So my question is, are you a believer? Both teams still pretty young here, but it just seems like this is a big number to ask Orlando to go on the road and have to win against a upstart Pop team here that seems to be putting it together.
Yeah, well, I'd say Pop figured out which two he was going to load manage tonight. No Zach Collins, no Keldon Johnson. I mean, that's every game. We got to figure out which two aren't going to play for him. I would alert everybody watching the show right now. Open up your apps. Go ahead and hit San Antonio because I like Orlando. Listen, when I look at Orlando, Joe, every night, the first thing I look for is, do they hold a front court advantage? I mean, Ronald hit on it a little bit because their strength is that front court. And despite Wembanyama, they're still a smallish basketball team up front. And Orlando's back healthy. A lot of the stuff where they stumbled through in the recent schedule was because of injury. And now that everybody's back, they lose a heartbreaker the other night, 131-129. Luka had a big game. But there's really no Luka to worry about on this San Antonio Spurs team from a backcourt perspective. I think that front court advantage is so huge that they'll control the boards. And, Skee did mention they're a bad 3-point shooting team. In fact, the league's worst. But the second chance points that they'll probably get against the Spurs front line, and there's still spots of games where the Spurs fade defensively. They're still not, I think you could still categorize them as soft. Ronald hit on how many points they're giving up per game as a home underdog. That average losing margin as a home underdog is 10.3. That's a lot more than the 5.5 asked delay here for Orlando tonight. It's a long road trip for the Magic, Joe. They're off to a 0-1 start. This is a winnable game. I would expect the intensity and focus to be there. So I'm going to try the Magic minus 5.5. And contrarian gods be damned. Hopefully we get our way here and they don't win.
Does feel kind of like an under game, but that's a different section here on the show. All right, very good here, guys. We've got a complete sweep going against the contrarian gods. Those of you that have been following this show, you know how that ends up working out. All right, let's move on to a featured matchup if we can, because this is interesting. How about them Brooklyn Nets now? Well, they figured some things out, huh? Yeah, no, I still think they suck, Skee, but they're taking on Phoenix, and they are at home. And I can't. What are we going to do with this Phoenix? I mean, what do we do with this Phoenix Suns team here? Are you buying them? Are you selling them on the road? Can Brooklyn build off of their last game? What do you think of this matchup tonight?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I can buy just, a one-off performance. This Brooklyn team has been pretty bad for a while now. They've covered, I think, 4 of their last 17, 16 games, something like that. So not a team I'm running to the window to put my money on. But I can't help but notice, the last 5 games at least, they've been a much better defensive team. And if you're at home, playing a better defense, you'll have a chance to stay in the game. I see. Look at this line though, and see what a 3.5. It seems a little bit too short. You're almost just asking Phoenix to win the game. So when I think of it like that, and also, I have to mention this is what Mikal Bridges versus his old team, and a couple other guys versus their old team. Yeah. So I want to get there with the Nets. I really do. But I need to see it a little bit more before I believe it. So I'll be on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, still hugging 3.5 open, seeing threes now in some spots here. Also, yes, it's very well known that Skee did a fantastic job of sitting right there in Switzerland on that one. But he did say he wanted to get there, RC. Like, he wanted to get there with the Nets. So maybe you can help him get there with the Nets here tonight against Phoenix. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough game here, to be honest. I mean, the Suns have been playing pretty well. I know they haven't been covering the spread a lot, but they have been winning the games. And like Skee said, this number is pretty short, 3.5. They really only have to win the game, not really have to win by margin. They did beat the Heat, in the last game. Before that, they lost 2 straight to the Pacers and the Magic. On the net side, they've won 2 in a row. Their offense looked pretty good with Simmons back on the court. he also had he almost had a triple double in just 18 minutes.
Mm.
So that's something to look for. I think moving forward is, are they going to ramp up his minutes? But overall, I think the Nets are fairly healthy compared to the Suns, who are playing their fifth game of a 7 game road trip. So potential travel fatigue there that could start to hit them. That's probably why you see, we've seen a cluster of under games from the Suns team recently. I think they've been kind of hitting that travel fatigue, slowing the pace down, managing minutes and things like that. So that's some things to look into this game here. The Nets, they don't play until Saturday either, and that's one thing that I like to look at. Are they going to have to reserve energy? And they're not going to. I mean, they have the extra day of rest there compared to the Suns. This is their fifth straight home game as well, so they've been sitting pretty at home. To me, I think the Nets actually can take advantage of a fatigued Suns team here that has been traveling a ton. They're also playing the third game in 4 nights, so I would look towards the Nets here in this one.
See, Skee, all you had to do was ask, man. You wanted to get there with Brooklyn. RC just hand delivered it to you, man. Just gave you Brooklyn. Now Rob Vino is going to make a big case for Phoenix and screw us all up. So what are we thinking, Vino, here? Phoenix, Brooklyn here tonight. Which side of this game are you leaning towards?
Well, apparently we're going to miss out on a Kevin Durant tribute video. I guess that question was asked, and the poll wanted it, and Kevin Durant said, please don't do it. So they've played once before. I remember we were on the show, and we talked about Durant having Brooklyn come into Phoenix. And Joe, I think you were the guy who said, Mikal Bridges, what the hell about me? And he went off in that game at Phoenix. The Nets actually won 116 to 112. For Phoenix, as Ronald said, it's a long road trip. And I think for me, Joe, they got themselves a win in Miami the other night, but they're 2-2 at this point of the road trip. This is a winnable game. They go to Atlanta, and then they go to Washington. From their perspective, you can finish this road trip really strong. 5-2, get back home. And then when you look up in the standings, it'll be hard to even remember that Phoenix really stumbled through the first 30, 35 games without their guys, maybe 40, without all three of their guys together. But since they've come back, they do shoot the basketball. And Skee pointed out Brooklyn's defense has been really good, and maybe that's negated by this Phoenix shooting on the road trip. 60% against Dallas, 57-3 against Indiana, 56-2 against Orlando, and then 49% against Miami the other night. That's pretty good numbers. With these three guys together, they're putting up a lot of points. I would think that Phoenix wants to close this road trip strong. So the number's small. And it's interesting. I was talking with Skee earlier, and there was a question posed to us. And at first glance, the number of 3.5 in the opener looks small, right? But nobody wanted to go ahead and lay it. And when the openers are out there, it's the big money that either wants to play or doesn't want to play. And nobody wanted to play Phoenix. So that part of it is interesting. But I'll give it a shot here. Like I say, 3 points just seems like it's a little on the short side. And Phoenix, in looking ahead at the rest, what's waiting for them on this road trip, I think they're going to want to go 3-0. So give me Phoenix minus the 3.
All right, Phoenix it is. There you go, guys. We do have, of course, the total that we want to focus on as well in our overtime section here. And interesting game here tonight involving the New Orleans Pelicans taking on the Houston Rockets. We've seen this one creep up from the open there, 228.5, 229, up to 232. Houston at home, we tend to think of as maybe a little more defensive oriented, but not in this market here today, Skee. What are you thinking? Are you agreeing with the move to the over, or do you think there's any value in the under here?
Well, this was a tough game for me. And I think not too long ago, Zion, I'm looking for it now, Zion was downgraded to questionable. And even then, this line is still up at 231 from 228.5. So, I mean, people think some points are going to be scored in this game. I know both teams' last 5 games have been playing really fast, top 10 in pace. It's interesting that both teams are top 5 defending the 3 on the season. Last 6 meetings have went under. Rockets have been a top 10 defensive rated team, and people keep running the last 5 games, and people keep running to go bet the over. So I don't feel very strongly about this one, unfortunately, today. the future games were a lot of games that I didn't feel strong about, but I'll share some ones later that I feel stronger on.
I will say this. I think, what is it? Herb Jones now showing up as questionable. So maybe this is starting to come down here a little bit. RC, what are you thinking here? Is it a bit of an overreaction given how the pace has increased with both these teams lately?
Yeah, I know. For me, I mean, Robert, you could get the flag ready, but the Pelicans, it's a mixed bag defensively. They've sort of been struggling offensively. They, staying under their team total in 4 of their last 5 games. On the opposite side, you have a team that's been clicking offensively, right, going over their team total in 3 of their last 4. The one that did stay under was the second leg of back-to-back road games. Yeah, I know the Rockets. They typically, sort of trend towards the under at home, especially when the team is healthy. And then the Pelicans, as road favorites this season, they've been more of an over team, going over in 6 of their last 7 games as road favorites. So for me in this one, just too many mixed signals on the total. So I really just passed on this one.
All right. Swiss flag is as it is. Very good. Outstanding stuff there. Listen, Vino, I know I can count on you to deliver at least somewhere near an over here, now that the number seems to be coming down. So what are you thinking here? Do you trust there to be enough offense to get this thing over?
Yeah, it's the role I have to play on this show 2 to 3 times a week, Joe. Somebody come give me an over. So let's go ahead and give it a whirl. 230.5 is what we're down to now because of the Zion news that Skee mentioned. And then, of course, you added to it Herb Jones, which if Herb Jones sits, that just takes defense away from New Orleans. I'm not so sure that without Zion, they still can't score a whole bunch of points here. But, the way I look at this, some of it's already been mentioned. But Houston, despite their defensive reputation, overall numbers, they've allowed 116 or more points in 6 of their last 9. And that's with Dillon Brooks back. And while they were going through that bad defensive spell, it was, we don't have Dillon Brooks. We don't have Dillon Brooks. He's come back. They're still not playing real good defense as far as points allowed is concerned. And the Pelicans have scored 117 or more in 7 of their last 11. So they're playing pretty good offensively as well. The pace was mentioned here. Rockets, number 1 in pace, last 5 games. Big switch from what Ime Udoka was doing earlier in the season. And for the Pelicans, they're number 4 fastest paced team over the course of that time. Udoka, it's a concerted effort here, Joe, with Jalen Green. And again, for those who are playing props, you might want to look at Jalen Green and these double-doubles that are starting to appear 3 straight games now, points and rebounds. These double-doubles he's putting together are on purpose. The team wanted him to go to the boards harder. And in Udoka's words, when he gets to the glass, we get out in transition a heck of a lot quicker. And that's resulted in, like we say, them being the number 1 pace team in the last 5 games. If you're going to get those extra opportunities, if you're going to get those easy points, I feel like you can probably get this game over the total. New Orleans, field goal percentage-wise, shooting-wise, they got the number 9 ranked field goal percentage offense over the course of their last 10 games. So, again, they're doing it on offense pretty well right now. I think they might be able to get to that 117 mark. Houston's been giving it up. They've been scoring it. And if Houston does the same, boom, we're over this 230.5. So let's try it up and over 230.5.
All right, up and over 230.5. There you go, guys. We got a little something for everyone here. Don't forget, though, if you are new joining us here on the NBA Tip-Off Show, hit that subscribe button on YouTube and become part of the WagerTalk TV family. And, of course, those of you joining us live here on this Wednesday, go ahead, hit that like button, give us the thumbs up. We'd certainly appreciate it as we get ready to talk some dogs. And there are quite a few interesting ones here tonight. So, Robert, let's see what we got.
That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. And anybody got to say anything, you let me know. That's my dog.
There is some ugly ass on this card here tonight, man. 4 double-digit dogs and counting here on, boy, oh boy. Couple of buckets one way or the other. Just depends, Skee. How ugly do you want to get here tonight with the dogs here? You see one that might be barking?
Yeah, I'll go pretty ugly. I'll go Pistons plus
Ooh.
12 and a half before
Oh,
RC
God.
can try to touch the Pistons.
Woo!
I look at this one, and both teams really have been playing good against the number lately. Both teams 7-1 against the spread their last 8 games. Something that stands out to me here, um, you have Detroit or a couple things that stand out to me. You have Detroit with 2 days rest, the rest advantage versus Cleveland with 1 day. Cleveland is on the front end of a back to back in this one, so even if they're up, by a little bit, they'll probably pull their starters and save some of their minutes and energy for the next game. And you just had Mobley come back. Now you could probably potentially have Garland come back, and that's just a couple of high usage players to be integrating back into the lineup. And I like to go against that. Star player, high usage player back into the lineup. I look at it as more of a fade. So Pistons have been good lately. I think they can cover another one in this matchup.
All right, going ugly, going with Detroit in this one. Come on, RC, you're not going to be outdone here. You're gonna go ugly shopping. Who you got here tonight?
Yeah, I'm going with Skee's favorite team, the Wizards. If you look at the Wizards, they've been a top 7 defensive rated team in the last 10 games. You pair that with the fact that the Clippers are one of the older teams and playing the 4th game of a 7-game road trip. One thing that I noticed with them is they tend to struggle on the road. The longer they are on the road, and like I said, 4th game of a 7-game road trip. One thing that I looked at with this team here, when they've been on the road for at least the 3rd game in a row, they're 0-5 straight up and against the spread in that spot. They're averaging just 109 points per game. That's sort of what I mean by them struggling the longer they're on the road. Also, Paul George was just downgraded to questionable this morning, and their offense, takes a step down when he's not on the court. So, to me, I think with or without PG, I think they're not going to hit that one. I think what I seen this morning was 124.5. I don't think they reached that with or without him. For me, I don't know if the Wizards are going to win this game outright, but I do think they have the defense to keep within the number.
All right, going ugly back to back here. Vino, are we clean sweeping it here with an ugly dog, or you got something in the middle for us?
I don't know, Joe. It's probably middle to ugly now that Nikola Jokic isn't going to play, and we see the line go from 1.5 all the way up to 6.5. And I wonder if this doesn't fall into that category that we see every single night. Team without its star player comes through and wins. It's very possible here. This is a divisional, what I would have to call a rivalry at this point, right? Because the amount that separates Minnesota, Denver, and Oklahoma City, not just in the division, but in the Western Conference, is minimal. All of these games are important. These teams have played 3 times already. OKC's got the 2-1 advantage. Denver's got to tighten that up. So you'd expect that they come here focused and ready to play, especially since they got beat by 30-something the last time they played Oklahoma City. It was a complete blowout. So I like the motivational angle from the Denver side. Also saw a little piece this morning about how Chet Holmgren is, a little fatigued now, 40-something games into the season and trying to get through that wall. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, was talking about it a little bit as to trying to help him figure out how to get through an entire NBA season. Now, the good news for him is he doesn't have to go up against Jokic. The bad news for him is he's got to go against all those elbows of DeAndre Gordon. Long reach, a lot of elbows. But it'll be a more physical matchup probably, but certainly not the offensive force to contain here. Denver may have enough, Joe, on that roster to come in here with veteran mindset to play this one closer than 6.5. Like I say, OKC destroyed them the last time, beat them the time before. If there's any pride, which of course we know there is with the Nuggets, you come in here and you give an all-out effort. Even without Jokic, I think 6.5 might be a little too much, so I'll take the 6.5 with Denver.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic overreaction, especially since I'm still seeing SGAs with an illness is questionable. Still some question marks with OKC as well. So keep an eye on that one as we get ready, of course, for some best bets. And 3 of them coming up here. We'll start with 60 seconds on a clock. Give these guys an opportunity to lay it out for us here with a best bet. And Skee, you are up first, 60 seconds on the clock. Where is that best bet here tonight?
Well, I will give you 2. and I'm also do a little promo. So just gotta go fast, I guess. RC gave you a lot of reasons to back the Wizards. I like the Wizards as well. I like to play on dogs who just won the game. So, if they can continue that good play, I think they can keep it competitive tonight. And it's a non-conference game for their opponent. I don't think they care too much about it. And the promo part about that is it's the last day. You can get both RC and I for 7 days, 2 for the price of 1. So you guys should take advantage. And you can get spots like this where we both like it, potentially. My best bet for the show, officially, if you don't want to count both of them, I'll go with the Blazers plus 10.5 or 11, whatever the best number I can get right now. I just think this Bucks team with Glenn Rivers is going to take some time to get used to each other. This is a Bucks team who's only covered 3 of their last 15 games versus a Blazers team who has gotten healthy. They've covered 6 of their last 9 and are a top 10 defensive rated team the last 5 games. So Blazers plus the points looks good to me.
Oh, love it. All right, a little 2 for action there across the board. All right, Skee, RC, you got 60 seconds here to either throw Skee under the bus, back him up there, or give us the best bet, one or the other, my man. Where are you going here tonight?
No, thanks to Skee for doing that. Then now I got a whole minute to talk about this game here. But one thing that I like is the Wolves team total over. I did give this out to clients at 116. Now it's at, I think, 117. But yeah, the Wolves team total over. One thing that I looked at with the Mavs side, and they're going to be without Luka, Kyrie, and Lively. The 2 guys that I was focusing in on was Kyrie and Lively. When they're out of the lineup, opponents are 4-0 to their team total over. Opponents averaging over 123 points per game. All 4 opponents scored at least 119. Like I said, the Wolves team total is 117 right now. If you look at some of the statistical interactions, Wolves scored 45.2% of their points in the paint. Mavs are 22nd in the league at limiting points in the paint, and Lively is not going to be there. So they should be able to dominate in the paint there from that aspect. Wolves typically play a slower pace, but I can see them pushing the pace against this Mavs team, who are 28th in the league in transition, especially if Conley gets back into the lineup. So give me the Wolves over 117.
All right. Wolves up and over 117. Rob Vino, come on, my man. 60 seconds on the clock. Which one of these games did you circle for us here tonight?
Well, I got the same game as Skee, but I got it from a different perspective. I've got it from a team total look. Going to try Milwaukee over the 123.5 here in this spot, Joe. Obviously, Damian Lillard back at the Moda Center tonight. I'm going to be emotional for him, but I would expect that the entire team wants to put forth a pretty good performance for him in this particular case. I don't know exactly which way Doc Rivers is going to go with this team philosophically, but I know one thing. He wouldn't be wise to shut down the high-octane offense yet in favor of defense. I think he'll probably let the offense go while he tries to figure out the defense. It's a good sign because Portland, they may be good their last 5 games, but overall this season, they're the 26th rated field goal percentage defense in the league. Milwaukee certainly has the matchups that could take advantage of that. And Portland's got the 30th out of 30 teams in field goal percentage this season, which means they'll probably be chasing here, increases the pace. I think Milwaukee's got plenty here. Let's take them over 123.5.
All right, boom. Expecting some points in that one. And there you go, guys. One more time to recap it for you. Timberwolves team total getting over that 117.5 for Ronald Kabang. Skee says Blazers plus 10.5. Also, as a big bonus there, he ain't mad at the Wizards either. You want to take them points. And don't forget, last day for you to partner up with both him and RC here over on their pages at WagerTalk.com. And Mr. Rob Vino, he'll hang out with that late game too. He'll back the Bucks team total going over 123.5. And there you got it, guys. Great night of NBA action. We'll have much more for you tomorrow as well. And again, hit that like button if you're joining us here live today. If you're new to us on the NBA Tip-Off Show on Wager Talk TV, hit that subscribe button, become part of the family, and make plans to come back and join us again tomorrow. We'll do it all over again. On behalf of Skee, RC, and Rob Vino, we appreciate the time, guys. Best of luck with your plays here tonight. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck.